Brand new Village Vice. He's like Outcast over there, so fresh and so clean. That's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching another edition of Village Vice. Been an interesting week so far. The conversation about the important seniors, the important juniors, and we're going to talk sophomores, despite what it says over there on the right-hand side of the screen. We're going to talk about sophomores on the show today. Before we do that,
yes,
one of the most beloved Disney stories of all time is Cinderella. You know, the girl that doesn't belong at the ball, but she gets some help from a fairy godmother and the mice like Gus, and Cinderella gets to go to the ball, and it's a happy ending for everybody.
Sure.
Well, there's a CBS writer, columnist, content creator who believes Auburn could potentially be in for a Cinderella run in 2024. We're going to talk about that to start the show.
Yeah, Tom Fornelli, he put out something on CBS Sports, and here's what he said about Auburn potentially being the Cinderella team of the SEC this year. Auburn has been a chaos agent for a while, and it's won a national title and played for another in the last 15 years. Plus, it's a talented team. The Tigers don't have depth of talent others in the SEC have, but if they get lucky with injuries, they have enough to compete with just about anybody they'll face in the regular season. Ultimately, the rest of the league and the schedule will likely keep the Tigers from reaching their Cinderella potential. They're on the road for both Georgia and Alabama this season, plus Mizzou and Kentucky. Toss in some home dates with Oklahoma and Texas A&M, and maybe they could squeeze into the CFP with a 9-3 record, but it won't be easy.
Yeah. Got the 5th or 6th toughest schedule in the country. I saw one of those ratings the other day. 9-3. It's a little bit about your losses. It's more about your wins. And so, you know, there are a lot of different ways to start this conversation. First, let me just kind of get this out of the way at the beginning. I hate the Cinderella classification for Auburn. It's one of the 15 winningest programs in the history of college football. And in this article, they're paired with the likes of Syracuse and Rutgers.
Yeah.
And long term, we ain't talking about Auburn on the same level as Syracuse and Rutgers. I get it for the purpose of this discussion and this season. Auburn is not a Cinderella program, though. They historically, through the last 5-6 years notwithstanding, they are at the ball year after year.
Yeah, but if you're covering it from a conference-wide perspective or a national perspective, Auburn hasn't been what it has historically been over the last 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, this is one of the more down parts, the one of the deeper slumps that Auburn football has had. And it stinks that we're in it. Now, you know, with what Freeze has done this offseason and what they continue to do on the recruiting trail, we see our way out of it. And you and I talk about that almost every show, which is encouraging and exciting. But for right now, when you look at the lens of the last 3 seasons, and if you're Tom Fornelli and you're removed from Auburn a little bit, I get it. I totally get it. But also, I think this is encouraging because this is a guy who's removed from what we see and talk about every day.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing the same thing, because it's like, if Peyton Thorne in this offense clicks, if these receivers can figure out how to get this offense going and adjust to the SEC game quicker than most college athletes are asked to do so, and the defense doesn't really drop off despite losing some guys to the NFL, Auburn does have a chance to make a really nice run.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's the key point is, who is this coming from? Somebody who doesn't look at it day in and day out. This isn't Justin Hokanson or Jason Caldwell or any of the other guys who are well in tune with what's happening within the program. This is a national perspective. And you can parse words over likely and possible and where on the scale of possible to likely it falls. But we have discussed the schedule, those 4 road games. If you could split those 4 road games, then you feel very good about 9 total wins, right?
I agree with that. But I think those 2 wins have to be, I just don't see Auburn beating Georgia in Athens. But can you win in Tuscaloosa? We'll see. I mean, there's opinions all over the place on what Alabama's going to field this year. I'm of the mindset that Alabama's a 10-2 football team this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But if they beat Missouri and Kentucky and win all their home games, 100%, 100%. That's a big if. That's a big.
You got to get luck with injuries. You may need a bounce or two your way in the game, but Cinderella needed a fairy godmother. I mean, Cinderella needed to turn a pumpkin into a stagecoach. All right, so sometimes you need a break to go your way here and there. I love that the games that are at home are those games that are at home. You feel much better about Oklahoma here than you do in Norman this year. Like if you would trade, I don't know, would I rather have Kentucky at home and Oklahoma on the road? Absolutely not.
No.
We could look at some other combos like that maybe, but the games on the road I like on the road. The games at home I like at home. Understanding Alabama, Georgia, Missouri, probably all going to start in the top 10 or 12 nationally. But whether they're 12 or whether they're 16, those are difficult games. I might rather have Missouri at home and Arkansas on the road, but again, those are outliers.
And then the other toss-up is A&M. You get A&M at home.
Yeah, and I'd rather have them at home as opposed to,
going to Kentucky or going to Missouri, honestly.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So possible, yep. Think some pieces are in place. The senior conversation that we had, you have a lot of experience starting at virtually all the positions on the field. So, the key takeaways are that's a national perspective and not somebody here within the boundaries at home. And it does show you the talents are getting bigger. Can I mention this really quick? This does relate. We did an event earlier this week, one of our sponsor events that we do throughout the summer. Summer's the only time you can really get the coaches on the calendar to do it. Not one question was asked from our audience Q&A portion. Not one question was asked about what it's like to coach or recruit against Kalen DeBoer. I think that's a telling element of where the program is going, and people are seeing the results and they're seeing what's happening. Auburn got 4 players in the top 10 in the state of Alabama in the most recent recruiting class. It's the first time that's happened since 2018, which was the class that followed the last Western Division championship.
Right.
And like even in that 2018 class, 3 or 4 of those top 10 guys didn't really do much when they were here. And so we've seen for the first time in 6 or 7 years wins within the borders of Alabama on the recruiting trail consistently. And I think we're going to see it. It's already started well in 2025, and I think we're going to see more. So we talk about it every show, Zach, but it seems like there are new pieces of data every time we talk that show, this isn't just a talking point. There's real progress being made.
Yeah, this isn't just us,
booging,
getting excited and booging. There you go.
Yeah.
There's actually something to this, and I think this perspective of coming from a national writer, I think that's encouraging. I'm with you. Auburn shouldn't be in the category where they are deemed a Cinderella.
Yeah,
but they are right now.
Yeah.
2 years, are they? I don't think so. I think they're out of it. So that's good. Look, we've all been there before. Our weekend trip to the casino is canceled because real life came rolling along. Brad, we've all been there. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
And now MyBookie, they've got a new and improved online casino. It's here to change the game. You can dive into it. It's a truly realistic casino experience. They got the slots. You can actually interact with a live dealer, all from the comfort of your own home. And Brad, do you have to wear pants at this casino?
You do not have to wear pants. It can be your very own PFC, pants-free casino. I'm in favor of that anytime you can.
100%. Start at MyBookie today, and with a generous sign-on bonus by using promo code NEXTROUND, you get a revamped loyalty program that assures a bunch of VIP perks. So check it all out at MyBookie. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
I'm so anti-pants. Okay. We've been going along in a series where we take the roster class by class, and we talk about the most important members of that class. And today we're going to talk about the sophomore class. Again, as the precursor. If you haven't watched the first two items in this discussion, I'm just going to go straight to the Auburn roster page, the official roster page. I'm going to read them out first. I think these are in numerical order, and just going to run down the entire list. I count 20 sophomores on the list, and it begins with K and Lee. So K and Lee, Terrence Love, Antonio Kite, Caleb Burton, Holden Gariner, Keldrick Falk, Rico Walker, Robert Woodyard, Jeremiah Cobb, Mac McClinton, Cam Etheridge, Rod Elston, Alex McPherson, Paul Thompson, E.J. Harris, Seth Wilfred, Conor Lou, Jake Cruz, Micah Riley, Joe Frazier Jr.
So this is the first class that we've done where everybody that you mentioned was brought on by this staff.
Yes.
So one, that's important. Two, no, that's not true. Gerner and Harris,
a few of those
not.
guys,
and Micah Riley were not.
Yeah,
outside
they
of that,
redshirted Harson's first year.
Yeah, so some of these redshirt sophomores are the last remaining Harson guys, but almost all of those names, there's a pretty clear path to playing time where you can see, okay, they are part of the future. I mean, especially those offensive linemen that you mentioned with Seth Wilfred and Conor Lou and E.J. Harris. Like, I'd be surprised if none of those guys, weren't a part of the future. And obviously, Conor Lou's a part of the present as well. Jeremiah Cobb and Caleb Burton and Rico Walker and Micah Riley. I mean, that's a solid group. And with Keldrick and Woodyard on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, this is a great class. And this is really the class, for the most part, not necessarily the redshirt guys, but Freeze's first recruiting class where he had that 1 month to flip 7 of these dudes or whatever. This is kind of what started it all, was this class.
Yeah. I would dare say that you have more proven guys that played more snaps and important roles in the sophomore class than guys in the junior class that we talked about last time. So
yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I know that when I'm picking my top 3, I had a tougher time with the sophomore class than I did with the junior class. Even there are fewer guys in the junior class.
To me, 1 and 2 are very easy, and I don't care what order you put them in. The third one's what's tough for me.
All right. I think we're probably going to differ on that because I think my third guy will be your 1 or 2.
Okay. Who is it?
I think K and Lee is number 3 on the list.
Oh, that's fine. That's a good one.
Okay. That's not okay. Very good. Very good. Yeah. K and Lee, we saw him as a true freshman last year. And I mean, Zach, the second he stepped on campus, everybody said, this is a guy. This is a guy that's gonna be really big for Auburn the next few years. And he got pressed into situations in his true freshman season where he was challenged, and he answered the challenge. And so as he goes in opposite Keontae Scott at the starting cornerback position, there are expectations for him. And there's a feeling across the board. Like, I don't know anybody associated with the program who wonders whether or not he can do the job.
No, you don't really hear him mentioned that much, which is almost good. I mean, corners and offensive linemen, you almost just don't want to ever hear their name, and you want them to kind of almost be invisible. That's what K and Lee has done. Even when he started his first few games as a true freshman, because Nehemiah Pritchett was out, and then Pritchett comes back, and there's no major difference. Pritchett was probably a hair better, but we're talking about a guy who got drafted and he's playing for the Seahawks now. And, K and Lee, just a few months prior to that, was playing high school ball. So he's special. He's special 100%. I said he was an NFL player when Auburn flipped him from Ohio State. And little did we know at the time that was going to set up a trend of flipping corners from Ohio State. But more on that in the coming weeks.
Let me just make up some numbers here based somewhat on last year's stats for K and Lee and get you to project over under. Interceptions, 1.5. He didn't have one last year.
I'll say he gets 1. I don't know if he gets 2, but sure, for the sake of it, I'll say over.
All right. Pass deflections, 8.5.
What did he have last year?
6.
Over.
Okay. Forced fumbles, 1. I'll go 1.5.
That's such a fluky thing for a corner, so I'll go under for that.
All right. I'll end right there. The pass deflect, the breakups are really the thing. How much is he thrown to?
That's probably the thing he has most control over as a corner. So, yeah, I think that's probably an over.
All right. So K and Lee is my number 3.
He's my number 3. He's my number 3 as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time we've had the same number 3 in this discussion.
Yeah. I think I know who your first two are, but we'll see.
Yeah. Keldrick Falk is my number 2.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. He's got to be 1 or 2. I'm fine with
Yeah.
whatever one you want to do. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got to be 1 or 2. And I think obviously that position, whether he's playing inside, whether they're playing him outside, we saw his explosiveness coming off the ball in bursts in few clusters of plays where he was in there together. I think we see his snaps go up dramatically this year, and he goes from a really high caliber talent as a freshman to now a guy who's counted upon for big things in his sophomore season on the defensive line.
Yeah, and I wonder how many reps he would have gotten if everything went according to plan last year. Because I mean, he was the backup to Messiah Nasili Kite, and then when he went down, is really when he got more of those reps. He was a depth piece rotation guy, and then he was thrusted into that role. And there were times where it's like, yes, this is the guy that we thought he could be. And then there were times where it's like, okay, where is Keldrick? But he's a true freshman in the SEC. Like, that's just part of it. It's hard to play edge or end or anywhere on the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball as a true freshman. We've talked about this before. We talked about it. We were discussing the juniors in the last show with Kieran Crawford and why I think he's so important. And we were talking about seniors. I said Jalen McLeod was there. Pass rush is a concern for me.
Okay.
But if Keldrick Falk is able to be the 5-star that Rivals gave him and kind of towards the end of the recruiting process, if he can be that guy from a pass rush standpoint, it changes the whole complexity of what Auburn could do defensively with DJ Durkin. So, yeah, I think it's great. I'll put him at 2 as well. We've got the same list so far.
Falk had 35 tackles. He had 3.5 tackles for loss and 1 sack a year ago. I think 3 of the tackles for loss maybe came in the UMass game, came in 1 game. So if we project his tackles at, let's see, let's set it at 56. You're averaging like almost 5 a game.
That seems high.
See, I think so too, but if he's playing, I don't know. All right, so you're going to take the under on that?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. But, I mean, tackles for defensive linemen don't always say everything,
Sure.
So sure. Auburn's leader that wasn't a linebacker last year, McLeod, was at 50.
Okay.
What did you just set it at?
56, and that's way high.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go under.
Okay. Although McLeod didn't play the whole year, he wasn't totally healthy all year.
Marcus Harris had 40.
Okay. So Falk would have been.
I don't think he does this year what Marcus Harris did last year. If he does, Auburn's going to be really good on defense.
Yeah. So Keldrick was high up on the list of non-back 7 or 8. Yeah. Okay. Even with 35.
Yep.
All right. So Falk is my number 2, Kay and Lee my number 3, and my number 1 most important sophomore.
Wait, before you tell us.
Yes.
Tell us what makes you look better than anything.
Rooback. I'm wearing a T-shirt from Rooback right now. It is the most comfortable T-shirt that I own. I may go back and get 2 or 3 more like it. It's whether you're talking about the polos or the quarter zips or the performance hoodies that are also really comfortable, soft. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
These guys just don't miss, and they want to get you in on it. I'm telling you, you don't want to go another summer without a closet just chock full of Rooback gear. And right now you get 20% off when you go to Rooback.com. That's RHOBACK.com. Use the promo code VICE20 at checkout. VICE20, VICE20 at checkout. Get 20% off the order at Rooback.com. You'll look great. You'll feel even better than that.
Yep. Love our friends at Rooback. All right. Your number 1, I assume it's mine, is who?
It's Conor Lou.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's the starting. Yeah, it's the starting center. The center is often the most overlooked position on the offense. It is critical, and in championship years, you got to have playmakers, sure. But if you look back to Auburn's Western Division title team in 17, their SEC championship team in 2013, and the national championship team in 2010. You had experienced. Now, on those teams, you had seniors at the center position, but you felt like the center was one of the strengths of the offensive line. And if Conor Lou can build on his terrific freshman year, be consistent, stay healthy this year, he anchors the offensive line and gives you a chance. Your consistency on offense starts with your center, and Auburn feels great about its starting center.
Yeah, and they should. They should. It allows you to do so much more as far as preparing for the season. Last year, we saw Auburn pretty much have the entire same offensive line throughout spring. Then to start fall camp, they changed things up with moving Gunnar Britton from right tackle to left guard. They were able to do that because they kind of felt good about everything else, because they felt good about starting the season with Avery at center. Now it's the same thing with Conor Lou. When Avery got hurt, Conor came in as a true freshman and arguably was better. And that's nothing against Avery. It's just Conor Lou, I think, is a special, special player. And once again, another guy, all three of these guys that we talked about, they flipped after Freeze got here, which is just a testament to how bad that class almost was going to be, and then what they were able to do and salvage it over the last few months of the of that recruiting window, which is incredible. But yeah, Conor Lou's got a chance to be one of the best centers in all of college football this year. And it would almost be a disappointment if he wasn't a Remington finalist.
Yeah. Auburn's had excellent centers in the past. This guy, to make the impact he made his freshman year toward the second half of the season, and to think about the run that he could go on, we're big into projecting. What if we're talking about Conor Lou as one of the best 2 or 3 centers in Auburn football history in a couple of years?
I mean, that's on the table.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
That's on the table for him.
Yeah.
I think the issue he's going to have that other great Auburn centers didn't have is I don't think he's going to play enough games because he played, half the season, if we want to round up, half the season last year. He'll play this full season, and then he's got one more after that. So he's got, 2.5? Yeah. That'd be like under 30 games, right? So
you could get 30 in 2 years, though, in the new format.
That's true. Yeah. Hopefully he gets more than 30. That'd be great.
I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. And there are definitely arguments to be made for some other guys like, Alex McPherson. He can be a weapon and can win you a game or two if it comes down to it, assuming it's him and not Towns Magoo. I mean, the embarrassment of riches at kicker, silly.
This also could be a very different conversation. When we do this show a year from now, we're talking about this class as the junior class.
Oh, yeah.
And then our show background over there will actually be correct. But I mean, Jeremiah Cobb could certainly be on this list when we talk about this class a year from now, right?
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. And Robert Woodyard is a guy who could be on the list a year from now.
Either of those tight ends, Mike O'Reilly or Rico Walker, could be on there too.
That's right.
I mean, this is an important class.
Yeah. Antonio
Seth Wilfred. Yeah, Antonio Kite could start at corner in 2025. Seth Wilfred could start at one of the tackle spots in 2025. So, yeah, 100%.
All right, let us know. What do you think? Do you agree with the list? 3, 2, 1. Would you reorder it? Would you have some of the other guys on it? And if you want to get in some early votes or early thoughts on the redshirt freshman class, that's going to be another. The redshirt freshman and the true freshman discussion will be compelling ones as well coming up.
Agreed.
That's it.
All right. That about does it for today's show, my friend.
It does. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Remember, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.